Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you for joining me here today. We're taking a look at STFI, which is FIS. It's a staking finance coin, and it's pretty interesting the way that the price action is moving. So we're really just going to look at the technical information here, technical data, and we're not going to bother with the fundamentals. I might make a video later down the road regarding that, but for now, strictly technical, so you know how to approach today's climate, because it did reach a new all-time high and the price action is quite severe. So we'll take a look at that, and just know I'm not a financial advisor. I am here for educational purposes only, and I just always recommend you do your own research. And if you'd like to join our Telegram community, I'm also available on Twitter. You can go ahead and follow along if you'd like. Great community though. Please be sure to reach out. We're all learning a lot from each other. One last thing as well is there's $25 in Bitcoin that you can claim from Voyager just by downloading, installing, and funding $100. All right, let's go ahead and get to it. All right, folks, let's go ahead and take a look at FIS. Let's see what's going on in the price action. And just before I do, I want to state that I always like to look at Bitcoin and Ethereum first, just to get perspective on how the market's doing overall as a whole. Because as we all know, when Bitcoin goes down, everything else goes down with it. And then obviously when Bitcoin goes down, people jump ship and jump into Ethereum. Okay, so we just want to kind of understand that and take a quick look, because those are two relevant indicators of just the overall sentiment in the market, but also, what's going on as well, because Ethereum does have, a lot of the coins that I cover, the currency, essentially, they are on the Ethereum network. Okay, so I just figured it'd be helpful to get perspective there. One of my supporters had actually recommended I cover Ethereum as well, so we'll do that here today also. Again, just a quick touch on it so we know what's going on. Now, for starters here, this is Bitcoin. This is a 4-hour chart. And I like to use a 4-hour chart because the 50, 100, and 200-day moving averages are essentially the most accurate. And it's been proven that the 200-day moving average on Bitcoin is the most substantial indication of the overall market sentiment. And I've got good news here. The price is currently above the 200-day moving average, roughly at about 57,000. That was a previous major resistance level. So this is a good sign. Hopefully it can continue to hold, but it has been holding for somewhere in the range of 16 hours, 20 hours, so almost a full 24. So we'll see what happens there, but good news is also, if we saw from before, there was a $53,000 support level that was tested and rejected and came right back up, passing the 100-day moving average. So very, very good shape here with Bitcoin. Just gotta hope it continues to stay over 57,000 and ramp back up. And with Ethereum, I just want to note as well here that there are these three very long candlesticks, there, and there. Those are all Bitcoin sell-off points. So what's interesting is Bitcoin has almost a mirror image there. It went down and came back up. This one bounced off, shot up really high. Another sell-off, up again. And then, of course, to where we're at right now for an all-time high of 28.85. So it's consistently making higher highs. So it's kind of on a tear right now. It'll be interesting to see what happens when Bitcoin takes off. But that is what Ethereum looks like, just so we get a baseline. And let's go ahead and take a look at FIS now. And FIS is cool. It's like what staking finance, essentially. And it shot up recently here. So let's see here. So yesterday it shot up, it's like yesterday morning-ish, it shot up to $4.64. Sold off hard. Kind of met in the middle, consolidated, shot up again. That was early this morning, and again with another ramp up, and then sell off. So interesting price action. We'll take a closer look at the 15-minute chart, but I always like to start with a 1-day chart and work my way down so we can kind of get a bird's eye view and then find out specifically what's going on. Okay. So this is a 1-day chart, and as we can tell, the Bitcoin sell-off had a major impact on FIS. So you see here, price coming down. Technically it was selling off before Bitcoin came along, but it was still in somewhat of a consolidation phase. And the 17th right here, when Bitcoin did a major loss, it kept on coming down all the way to the 22nd, which is the second Bitcoin sell-off. And it has ramped up since then, so it does tell me that the overall average price should be closer to the range of $3.50 to $4, because that's where it was hovering from before. So it's no surprise that the price action is trying to recover the way that it is, because Bitcoin is fairly, I guess you could say, more stable than it was before now, and with a little more consistency from Bitcoin, people are starting to invest in FIS. That being said, take a quick look at the RSI. What's super cool about this is the fact that it's still not considered overbought. So even though it is on a bullish trend and the price came swinging up in an upward fashion on the moving average convergence divergence, the MACD, we're looking in pretty good shape here still for a lot more movement. So there is likelihood of the price continuing to increase, and it might even test the previous resistance of 488. So let's mark that guy there. That is our major resistance level. And of course we got a resistance here around 452 as an average. All right, looking at the 4-hour chart, let's take a look here. So does appear that, of course, the RSI is high. 4-hour chart typically indicates that when we have a major spike like this and a retracement. So just note that anytime the RSI on the 4-hour chart goes up over, just say 75 or 80, then we should expect some type of retracement. In fact, the 15-minute chart will likely identify that for us a little bit better, more clearer. But just note that it's no surprise that the price came back down as a result of being too high, because it can't just go up forever, right? There has to be a sell-off. There has to be some kind of consolidation. But here's the great news. With the moving averages, we've got the 50-day moving average down here. That is currently a support. 100-day moving average was blown through. So as you can see right here, it just destroyed the 100-day moving average as well as the 200. And even though the price came back down, the 200-day moving average essentially is working as a support level. So this is great news. Anytime this 200-day moving average on the 4-hour chart is working as a support, it's a pretty good overall shift in sentiment towards bullish momentum. So it's a very good sign. So just note that all the indicators here look pretty good. The MACD does appear to be fairly overextended, so there's a chance that the price might calm down a little and work itself into another channel, but we'll find out maybe on a smaller time frame to see what's going on specifically, but that's just what the 4-hour chart tells us right now. So overall, I like these indicators. Furthermore, this is the 15-minute chart, and I just like to note on the 15-minute chart, the moving averages aren't super relevant. They are helpful in a sense, maybe the 50-day moving average, but you can almost avoid using the 100 and 200-day moving average because it's too large of a time frame to have any relevancy. And I always recommend using this if you're new to the channel. The volume weighted average price should be your best friend, and it's this blue line here. And this is essentially just taking the volume of the price over the past 24 hours and essentially creating a major support and resistance level. So that's the average price based on the last 24 hours of volume on this current coin. So things I like to note here, and this is something that's I've worked out to a fairly exact science. It works very, very well in the 50-minute chart. In other words, when you're trying to figure out how do I trim off the top, right? How do I make profit when this price comes up like this? First of all, you have to be paying attention to the market to see where the price is going, so you can't just randomly jump in and it works. But just say, for example, you're looking at this chart and you were right here in this range, right around $3.30. And the price spiked up to this point at $3.97. And you look at the RSI and you're like, okay, RSI is over 70. That's a lot. Maybe I should consider selling. So you can sell essentially at this point when the RSI goes up over 70 on the 15-minute chart, and you can have, I wouldn't say sell the whole position, of course, you don't want to do that, but you can average it down by trimming off the top by taking maybe just say 10 to 20%. So usually when I see the RSI come up over 70 on the 15-minute chart, I will take usually in the range of 10 to 20% depending on how much I have total invested, and then I will put that into USD, and then when the price retraces and comes back down, I'll average my price down by putting that same amount I took out right back in. Again, when it's making higher highs, that's usually what I do. If it's just like a random, out of nowhere price action, then I wait for it to consolidate a little further. But for example, if you can just see here, when that price comes up, big surprise, there's a retracement. Price comes up over 70 here. Oh my, big surprise, another retracement, right? So that's kind of, to me, it's a very sure way of understanding, how to trim some profits off the top. It's not, again, exact, but I would say it's very likely that the price will come back down if the RSI goes up over 70 on the 15-minute chart. This doesn't apply to the 4-hour or the 1-day chart. Keep that in mind, that's not relevant in this scenario. Only the 15-minute chart tells you this. Okay, and then just to note too, the price is traveling under VWAP right now, so it essentially lost VWAP, and it's going to test the 50-day moving average soon. So we might see it work itself into a channel here soon, but that is essentially what we're looking at for now. And we'll take a quick peek at the 1-minute chart here, kind of see what's going on. We might, with the price action being the way it is, we may want to look at a retracement tool. What we do is we take the highest point all the way down to the lowest. So maybe we can just do that first to get kind of a baseline. Because when there's significant price action, I like to find out where these channels are. So taking a look from the highest to the lowest. And what these are basically just industry standards on where the price, essentially the support and resistance levels are trending based on the highest and lowest point after retracement. Okay, so this is a significant, basically this is an increase there and then a constant retracement. And if you were to do the inverse, you'd put it right back here and come all the way to the top, and it would give you essentially a very similar scenario. But it's retracing the steps essentially of what happened, and it's trying to forecast what will happen. And again, the industry standards, they're going to look at this and they're going to be like, okay, these are major support and resistance levels, so we're going to work with that. So when you do a 1-minute chart here and you're looking at this here, trying to find a good entry, we know that this is essentially a current support level, as well as the fact that this might be the next major resistance. So if you were just to say, for example, take entry down here after confirmation of this support level of $3.66 and wait for the price to come back up here, it would be advantageous to consider selling right in this range because you are undercutting their resistance level. So if the people that control the price are going to sell at this point right here, this line of $3.89, then it might be a benefit to consider selling prior to them selling and controlling the price back down. Again, this isn't exact science. This is something that just kind of, you add this to your tool belt, so to speak. You don't want to base all of your investments on this alone, but it helps when the price has come down the way that it has or shot up the way that it did, because there's not a lot of strong support and resistance levels we can kind of rely on, and this helps you with that. But just bear in mind, be less greedy than the next guy, and you'll always be successful. So I just think that that's a helpful tool to note. And why don't we go ahead and go to the 15-minute chart, identify our own support and resistance levels, and see roughly where we're at with everything right now, okay? But again, it can be difficult to establish just based on all this price action that we see right now. So let's see. Okay. First of all, we'll go ahead and mark our high of $4.64. That's the recent resistance. We got a pretty consistent resistance level here. Previous resistance, now support. And by the way, I'm marking that there because if you see it was tested once, twice, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. So that's a lot. And see, the more times a line is tested, then the more consistent the opportunity for it to be broken. In other words, this was tested 7 times and then it broke through like a really hard right here at this point. So the reason for that is because it was tested 7+ times in the past and it couldn't hold any longer as a resistance, right? But what's nice is this is a major support level now. Now that it's been broken, the strength of it being a support is that much higher. So if it comes back down and tests this line, I'd be surprised if it didn't reject and bounce back up and come up. So if I was to consider an entry point in this climate, I would first of all wait for confirmation after it tests a support or resistance level. Now if the price comes down and keeps trending down and bounces off of this here, and we see maybe just say 2 15-minute green bars, they don't have to be long candlesticks, they can just be short little wicks, it might be safe to consider adding to your position, or let's just say you have a position higher, you can average down, or just say open a new position at and just say 25 to 30%. Once the price action continues back up, you set a goal to try to hit the next support or resistance level. Now again, this is a pretty lofty resistance up here. That's I mean, what, that's 20 some odd percent? Sheesh, okay, no, 37%. So honestly, to get that kind of return, to get to, get in right here and to get out up there, unless you're planning to hold for maybe 24 to 48 hours and things go exactly the way you want, that might be a lofty goal. What you probably want to do is, if you're looking at a shorter time frame, like say you're trying to get in and out in a couple of hours, then what I always like to recommend is try to find another resistance level. So in other words, the VWAP itself, if the price keeps coming down, the VWAP will travel above, and use that as the new resistance level. So for example, when the price rejects off of just say $3.38 and it starts to come back up, it'll work itself into a channel in between the volume weighted average price and the support level. Once it once it tests and jumps above, you would add to your position, but until it does, you wait and hold on to see what happens. Okay. And again, the reason why I recommend 25 to 30% is because going all in is stupid, first of all, unless you're planning to hold on for dear life. Okay, so just something to note. But that is everything I have for you there. I wanted to make sure that you know what to expect. Comment below, let me know if you took entry, where you're at right now. Let's get engaged, and obviously join our Telegram community and let me know as well where we're at with that. But I can't thank you enough for joining me here. We'll go ahead and cover this again moving forward, just to ensure that you stay in the know. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks again for your time.